and welcome back to Survivor 50 Seasons in 50 Days. I jumped the gun about 30 seconds ago and thought we were live, and we were not. It's me, Coach Drew, as always, just finished watching Survivor Pearl Islands, one of the greatest seasons of all time, and we'll kind of talk about what if. We're gonna have a what if for this a little later. I'm joined by Jared and McKenna, who were just last Sunday when we started this whole crazy mess. Has anything happened in y'all's lives over the last 6 days?
I got a flat tire.
Ooh.
But that's about it.
Nothing much happened other than watching another season of Survivor.
Yeah.
And honestly, what a season. And I kind of want to start with the end, because whenever I think about Pearl Islands, I always try to use that as the it's a season that has a twist, but everyone still loves it. What I always forget about when I watch Pearl Islands is this is a season with a lot of twists and a lot of change to the game mechanics, and people still like it. What for you, and McKenna, we'll start with you, what makes Pearl Islands withstand the test of time, especially with so many people hating the addition of twists and all these things to the game? We have a lot of that this season, and yet people still put it in their top 5 or whatever.
I think the theme plays a lot into it, and I think it's very important where it's everything has an essence of pirates to it, where 41 is just a number, 42 is just a number. Like, I think people are a bit more into twists if it comes along with a theme. Like, all right, you're gonna be able to steal someone and they're gonna have to live with you for a little bit, or after every reward, you have to take something from the losing tribe. Like, that's all like piratey. So I think it makes people feel a bit more okay with it.
Jared?
Yeah,
Jared?
I was going to say the theme as well helps, but I think that these twists weren't game breaking, especially. You could steal one.
I might fight you on that one.
Or hourglass breaking.
Yeah, I mean, like the stealing of a singular item, not that game breaking. I mean, Rupert being taken from his tribe, more likely, is the bigger one. But then the Outcast twist is the more interesting one that, we just hadn't seen it before. And I don't think that it just rubbed anyone the wrong way.
Well, I kind of feel like the Final Four twist is what really is game breaking. And I don't know why I always forget that happens. I've watched Pearl Islands a lot, and I always forget Final Four is not a regular Final Four. So the jury wins and no one has immunity. But I think in that situation, obviously Dara still loses the challenge, but the next person up is Fair Play. And yeah, they all still vote together to get out Dara, but I feel like that does kind of change the dynamics of that Final Four if you take it out of the jury's hands and you give immunity to someone left in the game. And I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying, as far as game changing, I feel like that's probably the biggest, with the Outcast being next, because everyone thinks they've made the merger, because we're still calling it that. I don't remember merger still being used this late in the show's history. But people are still using merger, and they think that they are merging for the Outcast to come back in. And we're going to talk all about that a little later. But it's just always curious to me that, Pearl Islands is, as far as the history of the show, the first 7 seasons, it is pretty advantage twist heavy, which ultimately leads to more of the more entertaining aspects of the game, starting from the very beginning, because this is one of the best premiere episodes in the history of the show.
Yeah, I just the whole like, all right, we're gonna do press photos now, and we're gonna take you out on the boat, blah blah blah, and then Jeff shows up and is just like, JK, you're in this dress and you're in this suit and you have no bra. So it is like just that initial like, I did not expect to be doing this. I had like running shoes ready. I had this, that and the other thing. And Jeff does then give them the shoes that Rupert then plunders. But I think the whole like bartering for things in the village is actually an amazing twist for the season, given that they had to come in with basically no clothing or just like not ideal clothing for the start of the game too, and they need to get their pot, their machete, their whatever you need to live for at camp just through this village, is just an amazing first twist.
Yeah, and it's, it makes it good TV just because, like, you do have to see them actually interact with people outside of their own tribe to start off and try to haggle their way through it. It's almost like Amazing Race-esque if you think about it, where they have to barter with, well, Drake doesn't have to really barter with people because they have Sandra, but Morgan does have to barter more, and then you have just Rupert come in and just steal their shoes.
Everything. Well, and I kind of want to talk about the fact that when you're thinking about this, okay, your production is like, hey, we're going to start the game like this, and we're only going to give them these things. In the back of your mind, and I know this is a different time, so like people didn't even believe in concussions back then, but we know that Austin, like afterwards, like we all know that Austin had a lot of stuff going
riddled
on
with parasites.
Huh?
Riddled with parasites.
Yeah, exactly. So like, do you think they took that into account, knowing, hey, these people they potentially could be giving away their clothes and then living out in this island for, do you think they knew? Do you think they cared? Because I do feel badly for Austin every other time I've watched this season, because it is very apparent, even in the episode that he quits, Savage just says, oh, Austin's checked out. Yeah, he's done. He during the Outcast challenge, Austin just does not want to be there. It's because he's, for lack of a better phrase, he's dying. Do you think that production kind of put any type of thought into that?
For being early 2000s, I want to say no. They just thought, oh, this is a cool idea. Let's just really kind of maroon these people and see what they can do, not thinking about how Austin, had all these parasites. Part of the reason I'm pretty sure Sandra doesn't come back for All Stars is because she's still recovering from parasites and other, things going on with her body after playing for 39 days. So I don't think they really thought it through. They just like, oh, this is a cool idea. Let's run with it.
I think also it's kind of posed as a challenge to which each tribe wants to always give it their all in a challenge. And so Austin is just shedding his clothes to get more things for the tribe and being that team player, not realizing that, he needs to be a little bit selfish in the game and have warmth and clothes throughout the night. And Trish.
It's I think Sandra is the first person to give a confessional this season, but she's such an underappreciated confessionalist in this season. I feel like Heroes versus Villains is kind of the season where people kind of look at Sandra as a good, even though she gets less confessional
when she was on the screen.
But every time she talks in this season, specifically to the camera, it's nothing but good shit, pal. And it's I feel like you learn more about her through that than you do watching her actually play the game, because we're still at a point where we're going to pay more attention to Burton and Fair Play and Savage and all these other people. But I do feel like, as far as narrators are concerned, I'd even throw Lil in there, maybe. But I feel like it is. I feel like it is Sandra, Fair Play, Lil, our final three. Anybody else you guys want to throw in there? Or
I hate that Lil is narrating this season, but she does have a chunk because she has the whole Morgan side of things, because Savage goes out so early, and that's kind of their leader, so to speak. And just all the Morgans start falling and falling and falling until, you know, Lil is the only one left. So she has that other point of view that isn't Sandra, that isn't Fairplay, that isn't Burton.
I would have to agree with that. I mean, it's hard to really pick anyone else, especially when you wanted to get that opposing view. And it made it even better that she was an outcast. So even better for the confessionals.
We get our first America's Sweetheart, a big America's Sweetheart that we've had since probably Colleen. Like, as like, you could make a case for other, maybe Colby. You could make a case for Colby as well. But
he's
with
not America's
Rupert,
sweetheart. He's America's heartthrob.
Yes. American hero. We get Rupert this season, and this is my third time doing this. And the first two times, Rupert fatigue is very much a thing that happens around week 3 or 4. This time, I think I'm back to being 12, 13 years old. It was like, okay, yeah, I get it. I get why we loved him then. I also get, I know like the reunion's on in the background when Sean's talking about, oh yeah, the edit. And Jeff's like, no, what are you talking about, the edit? There's no such thing as the edit. It's like, no, the edit is, y'all are making this man so much more adorable than he probably actually is, especially with what we kind of know now. First experience with Rupert, and has your opinion kind of changed with him throughout the years, just talking about Pearl Islands in a bubble?
So I'll start because I feel like I have a potentially unique, kind of somewhat unique perspective. So this came out in 2003, right? I think.
Yes.
So I was like 6 when this came out, so I don't really remember it. But like I said in Borneo, I just have always watched Survivor. But I am from Indiana. So I knew of Rupert like my entire life. And so when I think of Survivor, especially that early on, I'm like, oh, there's a guy from Indiana there. So that just made it even better for me. But looking at it now, like, yes, I like enjoy him on there and glad we had this big character from Indiana. I'm still like not his number one fan or anything. Like, I enjoy him as a TV character, but like I still want the strategy and stuff. But here in Indiana, I think that he was a big deal. He even tried to run for, I think, governor at one point. Like he's tried to run for office. And when I met him, he asked me about voting. So
yes. Yes, he sure did. I don't think he won though, right?
No,
he definitely didn't win. Yeah. McKenna?
If I have to watch Rupert, I think it would be Pearl Islands, even though I've watched Heroes versus Villains probably the most, but it's definitely not for Rupert, I will tell you that. But Rupert is just so draining to me. I cannot stand Rupert. I'm so blessed that Blood versus Water, he's out pretty instantly and I can watch the rest of the season like blissfully. But I think in Pearl Islands he doesn't overstay his welcome, and I think there are a few characters within Survivor that if they go kind of mid-merge, they don't overstay their welcome, and they're okay on the season. But once they start getting deeper on into the game, it's like, all right, you've been here too long. Please go home.
Please go away.
So Pearl Islands Rupert, I can handle because he hasn't had that Survivor bravado. He hasn't been America's favorite yet. He hasn't won $1 million.
That's tomorrow.
So Pearl Islands Rupert is definitely, I think, the best version for me to like watch and handle.
I was debating that while watching.
Well, and as for me, so everyone knows that watches and that is associated with me how much I dislike Coach Benjamin Wade. And watching it this time around, yes, I know. Watching it this time around, it's like, okay, they're the same. They're different sides of the same coin. Where I feel like both of them are really loved by both the casual community and the hardcore fans that know they're in on the joke. I think that for me, Rupert and Coach, their first seasons, it's like, okay, I get it. Like, we don't have to do this again. And even the second time with Coach and Heroes vs. Villains, he doesn't outstay his welcome there. Rupert, yeah, he outstays his welcome in All Stars, but like it's All Stars, so everyone outstays their welcome there.
Yeah.
It's almost like if Rupert was at least portrayed as a big shitbag, I would probably put him in the same category as Coach. But because he's portrayed as the ultimate hero's hero, I kind of forgive a lot of the stuff that you kind of see as the season goes along. You killed my spear, which is just so overly corny. You killed my spear. The fact that every season he plays in, he has to kind of embrace the theme. So like Heroes vs. Villains, to this day, I'm convinced he thought that the Villains tribe were like actual super villains. But like here, hey, I'm a pirate. Pirates steal. Pirates do this. Pirates do that. And that is fun. Our first experience with Rupert when he's stealing his shoes is a lot of fun. Then it's
tiring.
Diminishing returns as it goes along. Do you think that Rupert works now? Like, I know there were people wanting him 150. Do you think it's been long enough that if Rupert came back, it'd be like, okay, let's do it again?
I mean, I'm okay without him on 50.
I'm okay without him on 52, 53, 54.
I think that I think he would probably be close to like Coach in 50, maybe. I mean, like, yeah, I probably didn't need him on my screen.
I think he needs to come in like Rudy age and be like a Rudy to even last anywhere near the end or be a different character, because he's going to be the same person and do the same things each time he plays. I don't think he ever learns from anything. So he's just Rupert the entire time, and he needs to be able to, diversify himself and be able to play a different way and lie, cheat, steal. He does that with the shoes, but he doesn't like liars in the game. So he needs to just be the old curmudgeon in the corner to be able to do anything to progress in the game.
Or even just
that is a good point.
Just evolve in actually having strategy in his game. Just any sort of evolution in his gameplay would be for his benefit, and then I would want him on my screen.
2 brain cells to rub together.
Exactly.
The fake idol in his pocket is one of the best game moves he's ever done, and I'm pretty sure he still gets voted out that round. So, like, right, like...
No, that might be the Candace. I think that might be the Candace boot where they don't vote Rupert, they vote Colby and Candace, and then they pivot their 2 votes onto Candace. But then he didn't play the idol, so they were like, nice try, bud.
We'll get you next time. This is one of those. So I feel like what season 7 does so well that season 8 does not is I feel like season 7 encapsulates everything, all the game mechanics, all the game changes that have happened over the first 6, with the exception of the swap. I feel like it puts it all together and makes it, for me, the best season of the first 20 seasons of the show, the best era of the show, in my opinion. Makes it the best or besides Heroes vs. Villains, sorry. Because it just, I watched this thinking about Marquesas a lot today, because there are a lot of parallels to it, including the fact that the merge after the Rupert vote, it's not like set in stone what's happening, but I won't say that it necessarily drags, but I did kind of feel myself sitting there like, okay, yeah, okay, yep, Tawana, yeah, she can go, Burton can go again, Krista can go, but it remained entertaining, and I think that's the big difference from Marquesas, which we talked about. Marquesas for 2.5 hours the other night, and the three boots after the John Carroll boot. the boot episodes themselves are fine to really good, but the boots themselves are like, okay, yeah, we're
Don't
here now.
disgrace Tammy's name like that.
We're here now. Don't disgrace Zoe's name like that. So kind of going off of that, one of the twists this season was the kidnapping type twist. Not, the kidnapping type twist and the looting twist.
Yeah.
And because Morgan is losing a lot at the beginning, we get to learn about Andrew Savage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Andrew Savage, I've never really been a fan, but I get him. I understand Andrew Savage as a player because this is definitely the type of player that people this is the Hunter Ellis. Everyone kind of looks for this archetype. Mm-hmm. And this is just the best version of it as far as he's able to get his tribe back on the right foot. McKenna, Andrew Savage 1.0, or how we feel, because I consider him an anti-hero.
I can see that. Like, I don't mind Andrew Savage at all. I was fine with him coming back for second chances. And I think he is the type of game player to learn from his past mistakes a little bit. He still might have some hiccups here and there, but the one thing that is his flaw that he tried to work on a bit in second chance was his social game. Like, he pretty much just like alienates Lil, alienates Skinny Ryan. He, is that powerhouse leader of the tribe, and if you're not in the cool kids club, he's not worrying about you. It was pivotal for one, his vote out, and Lil's original vote out. Do you mind just telling me if I'm going home? Lil asked Andrew, and he said he didn't tell her. Then he asks her, do you mind if telling me if I'm going home? And then she's like, well, did you tell me if I was going home? So he just doesn't have that, management, even though you don't want to jury manage at this point either. But like, he doesn't have that social management on as good of a lock as he could have. And if he just had that little bit, I think he does have, the charisma and the leadership skills that people will just flock to without wanting to get him out.
I thought when he was talking to Lil during his boot episode, that was just so poetic. Just throwing that right back at him. I loved every second of it. I need to rewatch Second Chances again. I love that season, but I just need to rewatch it. I think he was, if you look in this era, like, he was, the de facto leader. They decided that early on in the season. And so you could say he was twist screwed by the Outcast twist because Lil was, well, no, she wasn't safe at their first tribal. She wasn't there. Well, no, she was at the merge.
Yeah.
Or merge, what do they call it? Merge.
She was it was the merge, but she was like
merge. The first boot was make the jury.
Yeah, I can't remember what they called the merge at this point. Like you said,
the merger.
So yeah, he kind of got twist screwed because they had immunity there. But McKenna said it perfectly. Like, he just didn't have the social capital to save himself there, especially when Lil comes right back in and is probably one of the worst people for it to come back for you. Actually, I don't know what the best solution for him to come back from his tribe would have been, but
what's
he's probably always the first target. Yeah, he's probably always first target.
Mm-hmm. The thing is because of the way the numbers came in at the merge, that person that's coming back from Morgan is always going to flip to Drake because of the way that they left. Unless, they were like, all right, Rhino, we got to get, let's get you out. Or if they did honor Austin's wanting to leave the first time and he came back, then it might save that. But that's a bunch of ifs, what, if it's just the original Outcast, nobody is coming back to work with the Morgans again.
I want to talk about the Austin quitting later. But I kind of don't understand them bringing back the outcast people when they did, because they brought them back for a singular episode, and then, well, no, sorry, they bring them back one episode. The other two tribes vote out someone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one tribe votes someone out, Austin quits, and then the very next episode they merge. So they're not even on the tribes for that long before they merge. So I'm kind of like, why did you just bring him back in the game, or maybe do it a little different? I don't understand why you had to make him draw buffs. I know it's all dramatic and everything, but if you think about it, it's kind of pointless.
It is. And I do want to go back to the Austin thing, because we talked about this yesterday in Amazon, with Jenna outwardly saying she wants to leave the game the last couple of rounds and then wins immunity the last couple of rounds so she doesn't have to worry about it. We also talked about how Shauna wanted to quit, and they basically held her hostage and made sure that she didn't go home so that they could, do their own little plans. And that's basically what happens with Austin here, because Austin's saying that he wants to quit episode 2 or 3 the first time, and Savage is just like, no. And Tawana's like, hey, I need you here. I'm going to talk you down from this. How do we feel? Because this is the second season in a row. How do we feel about basically holding someone who wants to leave the game hostage to further your game?
If it's in benefit to your game, I don't see anything wrong with trying to convince them to stay, because at the end of the day, Austin could have just quit. So he didn't have to listen to Savage or Tawana or anybody. But if it's in your benefit to keep them around, then great. Keep them around. But if it's someone else who just wants to quit and they're not part of your alliance, they're part of the majority. So if I'm like, Ryan or Lil, let him quit. I'm not convincing him to stay. We don't need him. So I think it depends on if they're part of your moving forward plans or not, and they'll just leave if they want to leave. They're an adult.
And okay, so going off, I agree with you, because thinking about 50Y for season 50, the vote out of Colby, when they were like, oh, what do we do with Colby? He's probably gonna get medevac, or we can vote out Coach. I was on the side of, let's get out Coach, and because then Colby will be medevac. So I feel like I have to apply that here. I agree, if he's going to quit, let him quit. But also, I don't think he deserved the sass of the wrath of Jeff that he did, because I feel like him wanting to quit was actually very justified, because he had nothing. He was in these baggy,
underwear,
and he had no clothes, and so I'm like, I understand him wanting to quit.
He's dying. He's dying in real time. Jeff's sitting there saying, "Oh yeah, you're built like a brick shit." I didn't say that exact phrase, but basically, you're built like a brick shit house. Why would you want to quit? It's because I'm fucking dying. And
I'm naked, essentially, out here in the rain.
And I'm afraid of birds.
I love that.
Right. Yeah, you feel for him in a basically post 2010, I feel like you feel for Austin here, because he's been put in a situation where he can't stay warm, he can't sleep, and he's sick with 5 different diseases. It's rough, and I feel like Thailand kind of broke Jeff, because post Thailand is when we start to get sassy Jeff. And specifically this season, yes, with the Austin quit, where he's just shitting on him the entire time, and also with Johnny Fairplay, who obviously, this is the best we're gonna see Johnny Fairplay do, ever. And my favorite moment, I posted about it on Instagram earlier, is when he shows up to that first Drake Tribal pissed drunk. And before we talk about Fairplay as a player, a character, this is, I believe, the 4th or 5th season in a row where production has just given the players just a fuck ton of alcohol. So like to the point where there will be scenes in the pre-merge where people are just drinking rum at camp.
Yeah.
For shits and gigs. Like they're just hanging out. And I get it's the pirate thing. But last season they got a case of beer basically. 5 there was
They'll get
jam
alcohol in All Stars too, because Big Tom runs around with it.
Yep. Johnny Fairplay 1.0. Where are we at?
Watching this, I think this is also probably my third time, but first time I watched it in a while. He did want to kill him. I enjoyed Fairplay more this time, just because I feel like I'm able to appreciate his game more. I think he did come into this like being like, oh, okay, I'm going to put on this personality of Johnny Fairplay, and I don't blame him. I mean, it makes good TV, and he was going to do whatever he needed to win. So I don't. It's and seeing him post merge was really enjoyable to watch this time, and seeing him be able to maneuver the way he was. So, I mean, obviously, this is the best Fairplay because of the other time.
Does the other one count?
Yeah, exactly.
He's there. He's there.
He's there. But I'm pretty sure Fairplay didn't know Survivor before getting cast. They just like plucked him out of nowhere and was like, you want to do this thing? And he was like, yeah, and then studied up and then, you know, created his strategy from there. And that I think is kind of like the ideal kind of player sometimes, because you get the random everyday Joe, but then they study up to know what they're doing on the show. So you have that strategic mind in them as well. So you don't get like a JP or something like that from HHH, where he's just like there, right? So you get the average everyday guy, but now he sees what Survivor is all about, creates a strategy to win a reward, to make sure he has sustenance at some point in the middle of the merge to get him to keep moving forward, creates alliances, and he does it a villainous way, but I don't know, it gets you there. And he had allies. He had people that liked him more than, you know, a Russell had allies. He had people backing his strategic ability and things like that, where even though the Drake camp fought like the Dickens, they were still tight, worked together, you know, maneuvered throughout the game together, no matter who did what. So I think he would have votes come final tribal council because, you know, Drake still was a unit, even though they were splintered.
Well, okay, so I watched a little bit of the reunion, and you know they asked them about if John was in there instead of Sandra, and at least at the reunion they had Lil had 4 votes to win. So
that's also after what
exactly. That's my issue with it, is that your hindsight being 2020 of people who raised their hand. Because I think really the only one who I could see flipping their vote was Dara, because it was Rupert, Sandra, Krista, and those 3 I for like 100% see voting for Lil. It's the Dara one I'm not for sure on.
Oh, Dara. I would say Dara is the prototype for Katie Collins. That was at least the vibe that I was getting this time around. So we kind of go. I want to kind of go to the just a couple of last things on the pre-merge. We get the next variation of Attack Zone from 50, which we're gonna finally see like come to its conclusion tomorrow. Which I probably won't talk about that, but we see it come to a conclusion tomorrow. We also see I tried to pay attention to other people this time, and Michelle is a lot of fun. Michelle's my crush on this season specifically. The Survivor Smoothie Challenge.
So brilliant.
Bring back that challenge.
It's insane.
I think
Because
this is the perfect version of the eating challenge.
Oh yeah.
I
oh my gosh,
love the smoothie version instead of like just a bunch of random things that they have to eat or whatever. Guzzling down a smoothie with Jeff's choice is just beautiful.
I think they should have kept it. I'm glad they did it the way they did for China because of the balut scene. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I do think that I prefer the smoothies.
Yeah, I would say that outside of Pearl Islands, Africa was probably my favorite because, like I said, it just looks so good with the milk inside and with the blood. Just, I don't know. But Michelle basically shoots herself in the foot and gets herself voted out. And so we end up getting to the outcast twist, the twist that everyone actually remembers from this season. And this is where the what if part of the episode comes in. If Burton or Lil win the season, along with all of the other twists that happened here, do you feel like Pearl Island still gets put up on a pedestal?
Not if Lil does, maybe if Burton does, because I just feel like Lil was so wishy-washy the entire season. Like, she just didn't feel like she had a backbone. I don't know. She just like felt very blah to me, where like Burton, was able to overcome and, make it through. Yes, Lil did too, but I don't know. I just don't have the same feelings of Lil as I do Burton. But then we debate it like Chris Underwood and EOE. We're getting, toward that territory. And I think it would then tank everybody's first watch of Pearl Islands, but everybody's rewatch of Pearl Islands would be a lot better.
Like EOE.
Exactly.
Watch EOE.
Catch me on that podcast.
I don't know. I think that actually, I don't know. I think it's hard to say that being with Sandra being the winner, but I mean, even leading up to it, it was still a very enjoyable season. It might just be lower in the rankings because the winner can affect the season, but I still think it's in the higher tier for this where we're at for like the first 8 seasons, and then probably overall it's probably just slightly lower if Lil wins.
Well, and McKenna, you brought up Chris Underwood, and Chris comes back in, or Chris gets voted out day 8, I believe. Lil gets voted out day 9, and I think Burton gets voted out day 12.
I think it's like even maybe day 6 or something, where he plays the same day, like amount of days in the game in the first half, I'm pretty sure, as the back half.
Okay, so right around where Lil and Burton get voted out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I guess where my what if scenario comes from is through, and just to jump the gun by whatever time we finish, that is going to be my what the fans would hate, because ultimately, yes, Lil's the one that makes it to the end, but I feel like if Burton makes it to the end and catches even a couple of votes, I feel like people would be pissed off at that. And the fact that Lil does catch a vote, I think people would, why did Tawana has to be bitter because why did she vote against it? It's like, or we see her voting confessional, so we
at least the outcasts were voted out back in at the merge, right? Where Chris Underwood had now 2 tries. So I think I do like the outcast twist if it were Edge of Extinction, where we got to see that how they were living and not just trust how they were living. But it stops at the merge. I even don't love that they have immunity, but I feel like it's better than the idol, because the idol stretches on throughout the rest of the season, where that one ingratiates them for the round. You get a bye for the round, but then after that it's up to you.
I feel like they could, I feel like it almost needed to just be tweaked a little. Like first, yes, I want that footage of the outcasts, like please. But they almost needed to like maybe extend the twist a little bit. So like let the people go back into their tribes before they vote someone off, and then like let the immunity be then, versus it being in the merge when they merge. But also I think for this twist, I think it's actually pretty good for us because we get Burton back and we lose Sean kind of as like they replace each other. And I didn't remember Sean pretty much like at all in the season. So getting Burton back really did actually help the season.
Does it unbreak the outcast twist if they just do the challenge and then whomever wins, if it's both of them, they do the random buff draw, they go back to camp, and they both have individual immunity for the double tribal council that's about to happen, where it's still a pre-merge double tribal council, they're on it. Or if one tribe wins and the other loses to the outcast, they still just draw a random buff to join whatever tribe. Does that unbreak the outcast twist where they're not immune at the merge, they're immune at this one random tribal council instead of replacing them?
That's what I was kind of saying. I think they needed to be immune at that double.
Still force the double, but now like, the outcasts have a strat. They're
keep the results the same, but just tweak it.
Well, yeah, because if both of them go back to their tribes and they have to vote, Savage doesn't go probably. Savage probably doesn't go home, and
Austin still goes home. But
that's never. I didn't think about it like that today. But yeah, that is, and we're talking about what ifs.
You open the what if jar. So,
and I hate what ifs with Survivor normally, but like today, it's like okay, because we have seasons where they do a returnee type thing. How people, and we know how people perceive those, with the exception of Blood versus Water, I feel like most of those seasons are not looked at as very high. Edge of Extinction is starting to come back up, I think. I feel like. Okay, so we talked about that. Okay, we're gonna get to the to Burton first, because this time I really loved Burton, and also he's a very attractive male, and I don't like males. Burton is one of the most attractive people I've seen through 7 seasons, to the point where I know he's coming back, and I'm like, I need him back in the game immediately. And it does feel like, obviously the edit is the edit, but it also feels like they want Burton back in the game. Burton, is he underappreciated as a character in the bubble of Pearl Islands, where we have 4 or 5 of the best characters to ever play on the show, players or characters?
I think he is. I mean, he came back with a vengeance, wanting to play the game right away. I mean, he was already kind of playing the game before he got voted out, and then they just saw them as like a group of 3, so they wanted to get out Burton. But then he was able to integrate himself back in and, make it as 5th place, which I didn't remember him getting 5th. But I'm kind of surprised he hasn't come back in any sense. Like, there's a couple, like...
He kind of did come back. It's the Rick
come back on another season. But I like you, I enjoyed him this time watching through.
I like Burton. I think he just falls to the... he got voted out effect. So he has like a gap of not being there. And then also that he's a little bit like Drake's Savage, where he comes off, a little bit domineering and just like the kingpin of the strategy. That's why they go for Burton instead of Fair Play later on in the merge. And I just think he just doesn't have some of either the warm and fuzzies or the comedic ability that some of the other players have, so that they're giving the confessionals over to them. So like Rupert, you're going to get the, kind of warm and fuzzy confessionals. Sandra, you're going to get some sassy comment. Fairplay, you're going to get some, something stupid that's funny. And Burton's going to give you your strategy, but sometimes the funny comment is going to get you further in the edit.
He's still got a great edit, though.
Yeah.
And what nails that home is during the family visit challenge when his nickname is just Burton.
Yes.
He's just Burton. That's how plain.
Mom call you Burton.
Burton. I brought up Sassy Jeff really being born post Thailand, but we get it a lot here. One, because it's so clear he hates fair play from John, are you loaded? Until John is going to be when John goes up to give his jury speech. You can just tell Jeff's is kind of done with this guy. Him trying to basically dox Drake during the attack zone-esque challenge. It's like, hey, I got to bring up the fact that you're sitting these people. What's up with that? It's like, shut the fuck up and let these people throw the challenge.
I didn't like that from Jeff.
Okay, that's all. The question was just going to be.
He does have his meddling moments where he's like, so how about this obvious thing that's going on? And you just have to pivot around it. There's like a bunch of moments within the seasons now coming where he's just like, I'm going to ask this really leading question at Tribal Council. How do you feel about that? And you have to pivot around it.
I would almost prefer that if this really was like a more Tribal Council-esque question than like this is almost
right
like
in front of everybody question.
Yeah, especially like it's almost like Australian Survivor-esque type of question.
We're going to get to the Great Lie. One of the best episodes, not even including the fact that the Great Lie happens, because we start with Sandra pouring out the fish after Rupert gets voted out, and Krista being blamed for it. We get to the family visit, and even outside of Johnny doing what he does, she died, dude, and all that, everything that happens with Sandra during the challenge. We get more Lil Face in the challenge. His grandma just died. We get, Dara rolling her eyes at her boyfriend for basically getting every question about her wrong that we are shown. Sandra not caring that everyone else is throwing the challenge for fair play. I would say with the exception of maybe the finale of Borneo and the John Carroll episode of Marquesas, probably my favorite episode of the first 7 seasons.
I mean, it's epic. It has one of the most. So I watched the first couple seasons out of order because Hulu had 1 and then went to 12. So I saw China before I saw Pearl Islands. And in China, the reward with Todd and his sister and the miscarriage. And I'm like, why is this so important? And because I hadn't watched this fair play scene. Then when I finally get Paramount Plus or CBS All Access and watch these seasons that I missed, I get this fair play thing. I'm like, everything is starting to connect. And it's a genius strategy that could never be done again because everybody knows about it. But to try and weasel a reward that way and plan it, genius. I wouldn't hate him if I was playing and watched that. I'd be like, good on you, buddy. Like, that is a way to propel yourself in the game that I wasn't thinking about it. You like triple strategize this whole ordeal.
And I just looked it up on the Wikipedia. The craziest thing was that like this reward, I don't think really benefited him in any way because it was just, I'm pretty sure it was just, they get to come back to camp with you.
They go to a separate camp?
That's the other people.
Oh,
everyone else goes to a separate camp. They go to the main camp. But like we only get one segment of them hanging out, and it's just them chilling.
And they don't even get any food, I don't think. So it's like, really, it's the lie wasn't worth it, but it made great television.
You don't know what you're going to get when it is the family reward. So I think everything has been so, oh, they come back to camp with you and then have to do chores, or you go and take a few people to this other place and have a big feast. So it would be just anything to get that leg up, and then it also gives the emotional ties to you. Like Lil, I think, is more willing to work with fair play now because her heartstrings are pulled. So it kind of endears him to people, knocks down that villainy or that douchebaggery a little bit, and shows his human side.
Yep.
Whether that's real or fake, they don't know, but
and he tries to utilize it to continue. He keeps on saying, "Yeah, swear on my grandma, swear on my grandma, swear on my grandma." Mm-hmm. It's like, yes, this is the perfect way to try to play this now that everyone knows that she is dead. And this is not one of those, because Sandra doesn't own up to the fish thing at Final Tribal, and I don't think that Fairplay would have owned up to the grandma thing, because that's the type of thing at this point in the show's history that would cost you a vote. Exactly. It would cost you a vote. And so I'm glad, because I don't remember who asked Sandra, like, something nefarious that you did or whatever. And every time I watch, I'm like, yeah, she's just going to bring up the fish. It's like, no, that would be really dumb, especially because Krista's the one that, you lose Krista's vote. And they were bullying the shit out of her because she was the that poured out the fish. Jared, were you going to say something before?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, like, going more into detail about John, I was actually surprised to see, like, honestly, his evolution in the game of, like, him and Sandra, yelling at each other. I thought that happened, like a little later in the game, not, like, one of the first few episodes. That was crazy. But then they don't portray him as this villain so early on. I'm like, oh, that's weird that he starts off as, like, this normal guy, just there, actually doing chores around the camp. Is like actually productive member, and then he turns into this villain. Was weird to see this time, and I just glad to point it out.
The difference is, like, Cesternino got clocked as a villain after the Alex boot. Fairplay gets clocked as a villain almost from the very beginning of the game, because he's outwardly saying that he is. with his words, he is saying, I play fair, I don't cheat, I don't do this. It's like, okay, so that means that he does do all of this. And Sandra calls him out on it during the Rupert vote of, like, you keep just flip-flopping. But it works. He gets the exact same placement as Rob, and I feel like there is a world where he wins against potentially both people at the end, maybe. I want to get back to Lil for a second. Oh, actually, I want to get back to the Outcast vote, because one the I don't know if it's common knowledge. I don't even know if it's common confirmation, but hey, we want to get Lil back in the game. Let's just kind of leave that alone for a second and talk about Burton. If you're an outcast, and I felt this time, if I'm an outcast, I'm absolutely not voting for Burton to get back in, because I feel like most people are going to be voting for Burton to get back in, and that ruins my chances of getting back in. Just based off of who was there and what you saw of them, how would y'all vote?
I don't know, especially with
them
having two votes also kept throwing me off. Like, I wonder whose idea that was of, like, how they decide for two votes each. Like, I don't know that part, but yeah, I don't know how I would vote, because, like, do you think about, like, it? Do you want to? Are you voting for, like, a person who is going to last long in the game? So it's like, okay, yeah, we want someone to make the jerks die. So we want Burton in, or I don't know. We need the footage of them to make a better decision for me, but I don't know how I would vote. It'd be hard.
I would want to put one vote for at least one vote for someone that I feel would represent my story in the game and would try and go the furthest and do justice for the outcasts. So that's your Burton vote. And then since you can't vote for yourself, you also are like, well, I'm probably now not getting back on the show. So I'm going to vote for someone I don't want to be with, which is the Lil vote here of I don't want her hanging around me while I'm trying to party in Australia or wherever they're going. Like, I think you kind of split it up that way because they get the 2 votes with beating both tribes. Now, if it's just 1 vote because they only beat 1 tribe, I'm going with who is going to represent me the best and do their best to ingratiate themselves.
And going off of that, we do get Lil back in the game, and the Lil face meme as born. I had Mario Lanzo on here from Marquesas, and I remember asking before we went live. It's crazy how many people in the community don't know where a lot of these Survivor memes come from like back in the day when we're in the first few seasons. Lil face is one of my favorite things, and also the fact that every time I rewatch this season, Final Tribal, after the question, I feel like Lil's final speech, like after the questions are done, is actually pretty good.
Not that bad.
I really like Lil's speech here because she's just being as raw. It almost reminds me of Monica Culpepper's. We're just like, no, fuck you guys. Like, this is what I did. I wish I didn't wear this outfit, but they made us do this. They almost killed Austin, but here I am now, and you guys are putting me to this. Hey, the scouts. And yes, I probably should have shut up about it, but here we go. I know people kind of look at Lil as a weak finalist, and fine, whatever. I feel like most people should go back and watch her final tribal, though, because I think that it warrants a vote, which she does. Jared, because I know you watched it more recently. Thoughts on Lil's final tribal?
I liked it. I mean, you're talking about, you mentioned it being, raw. You see her cuss in there, which is huge for her because this woman is, she mentions about God and praying and like how important like her family is to her, and being this scout volunteer, where she doesn't drink on any of the rewards she goes on, and a lot of them, or at least 2 of them I can think of, have alcohol at them, but she opts for the apple juice or something else. So when she cusses, that's a big moment for her, and I think that you can see she is being her true self there, and I thought it was what you want in a final tribal.
And I think it comes down to players don't like hardly ever reward emotional players. So Lil plays with her emotions. Monica played with her emotions. Carolyn played with her emotions. And where did we get with all of those? They're all losing finalists that had decent speeches in the final tribal council, but because they might have, had an outburst at final tribal council of like, oh, like I'm emotional. I like, what do you want from me? Or, cried during the game a lot or something. They don't reward that. And that's why we get that Sandra win of, here's my game, here's how I did it. I'm talking, straight at you, and this is what I did. And instead of, that emotional kind of ebb and flow, Sandra remains that constant that pierces through.
Yeah. And we do get our first Sandra win, which once again, I always forget that she's 1 Tawana vote away from being the first perfect winner. Like that is insane. It's shocking. But I think that based off of and she says, I wasn't riding coattails because Rupert went out early merge, and I'm still sitting here, and y'all never came after me. I do think that of her 2 wins, the Heroes versus Villains one will always be my favorite just because Russell loses. Like, it's because of who she's sitting next to that I'm more happy with that. But like here, I do feel like from the very beginning, there's something there with her. And so when she ultimately does win the game, it's like, yeah, this is cool. This isn't Jenna and Crazy Matt. This isn't Brian and Clay. Like this is, I like this. This is Vesepia and Aaliyah for me. Sandra's first win. Where are we at?
I think it is a little bit in like the casual viewing of like Sandra. Like now we're here at 50 and we're like, or me personally, I'm like Aubrey. Like that's what we're looking at for our win. I'm not the biggest Aubrey fan. Sorry.
I'm not either. No, okay. I'm not either.
I'm
contemplating not watching the finale.
Oh no. Ooh. Well, you'll have to 50 and 50. Come on.
I know.
So like while watching live, I could see like the villain, the Scoutmaster, Sandra, and Dara. Like where are we going with this final four? So I could see why a lot of people, you know, who are maybe casually watching it aren't really focusing in on the games that they're playing. Could be like, Sandra winning kind of, you know, is in the lines of what we've just had of like Jenna and Matt or something like that. But when you focus on what she actually does throughout the game, you recognize anyone but me, the things that she either tells people or decides not to tell people, and just how everything is gone about in her game, then you can really appreciate the Sandra win.
Actually, okay. Do you think she is a villain from this season?
No.
I don't think she's not a villain, but she does villainous things of like throwing her number one ally under the bus while everyone bashes her for the fish. Like that kind of sucks.
Yeah, she's almost like anti-hero, but like she really toes the line of like hero villain, because like
I'm gonna take their tarp and I'll gladly rip it down for you if that's what you want me to do. Like
she was nice about it though. I remember watching that. She was not.
Yeah, they were the one being shitty to her.
For sure. But I think her bluntness is taken as maybe villainy.
Yeah, I mean, to me, she's not like super villainous. I mean, she's yelling at John and cussing him out when he's, you know, the villain of the season.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's always an interesting discussion to have on if she's true, like how much of a villain she really is, because she just toes that line so well.
Maybe the strategy of anyone but me could be a little bit villainous, because that means you don't care about your allies, ? Because you're not doing anything to save them. You're just trying to progress your game further.
Which is ironic, because when Rupert and Krista go home, she votes the other way. It's like she doesn't vote for either one of them to go home.
Well, she didn't know about Rupert leaving. Yeah, so she's going to vote for him. And then I think she made the conscious decision not to vote on Krista. I was just going to say, and I think it's also interesting that the anyone but me, I don't think got mentioned until so late in the season, which I think was weird to see coming, you know, where we are now. That's what you know about her, but it didn't happen till late.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't mentioned.
I want to bring up the ratings, like the viewers, because Rupert, like I lived through this season. I remember Rupert Mania, and Rupert gets voted out, and the views, like on like 19 million people watched this episode that he gets voted out. Every other episode after that is 20 million or above, which for me shows that people were locked in no matter who was still there, because Rupert is the fan favorite and he goes home and people didn't leave the show. They actually came in and watched more of it because they wanted to see what was going to happen next. And I do think that we started this whole thing with, why is Pearl Island still on a pedestal after all this time? It's like because of the cast, because of the twist, because of everything that surrounds this season. When we do get the final two, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm curious to see who's going to win in the spot, even though we all know it's going to be Sandra, because Lil's not going to win, despite them trying to tell us, oh, Lil's gonna, you know, she's gonna cry her way to the end. It's like, we know that that's not true, because we know these people don't actually vibe with her. We're seeing people not vibe with her. Pearl Islands is, yeah, for me, I'm giving it a 4.75 out of 5. And like I said before we went live, there's a very big chance this ends up as my number 2 favorite season by the end of all of this, but we'll see. It's number 4 right now. Jared, something in this season that the modern day fandom would not be the biggest fan of.
I mean, there's probably a lot just because of it being the early 2000s. One weird thing I wrote down was in like the very first episode, they show chicken fighting in that village. So right away, I'm like, oh, that's not going to happen. I think it's all the obvious stuff of just like the language, John saying ghetto Christmas, everything Johnny Fairplay probably, and probably in some extent Sandra at points. And then possibly Krista's hair when she gets voted. I was like in like these knots. I'm like, I don't know if I'm not the person to judge that, but I could see maybe people having a discussion over it.
Okay. McKenna?
I think the Austin quit is a big, not knowing what's going on with him is a big thing, because I know while watching 45, so many people are clamoring to be on this show, and now we have 2 people who got the opportunity to, and then they quit. Or 3 people, basically. But anywho, and so now people are still not going to like that there's a quit. He got to play this amazing game. I also think the whole situation with Rupert and his skirt is really bad, especially in nowadays times. I think he just needed to air out and just let the man live and let the man wear a skirt. Like, it's health. I don't know. Like, we see Shane deal with the same issues later on in Panama. So, like, just let the man live.
It brings up the same issue like we're having nowadays of like, just let these people have swimsuits. Like, I understand that like we couldn't get them, and it's offered on a reward, and I don't remember which one, but they get them. A few people get them, but just give them the swimsuit so they don't have to do everything in these jeans. Mm-hmm. That just makes it horrible for everyone, no matter what you're wearing.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like the fandom would, because they claim to hate any type of twist at this point, would hate the season because of all of the twists that are thrown at the players. Like we've all sat here and said, because of what this season is, you could have done a lot of stuff this season. We probably still would love it. And that's a testament to the theme and the cast of this season. Quickly, we have Who Would Your Ally Be this season? Krista or Sandra?
I would be all in with the egotistical men. Because they're not going to think that I actually have a brain and are going to vote them out later. They'll just think I'm being dragged along, and then, they get their head chopped off.
I would probably go in the Sandra, Rupert, Krista group just because I could easily feel like I could get in with Rupert, obviously, and then I feel like I don't know.
Give me Burton, Fairplay, Lil. Any
that would not be fun.
Well, that's going to wrap up our Pearl Islands review. Thank you, McKenna and Jared, again for joining me for this. Tomorrow we have Maya, who did the Survivor Africa review along with Survivor quotes on Twitter and Instagram, joining us to talk about Survivor All-Stars, a season that I have been dreading for a week now, and I can finally get it out of the way tomorrow. But Rupert wins $1 million, so that's cool, right? McKenna, what do we got going on?
Specialists are wrapping up their Survivor 50 coverage. So John and I will be podcasting on Thursday this week about the finale. In addition, we're going to be starting up a new series come June 3rd, where it is your favorite thing, Andrew, what ifs. So it's how the first juror impacted their seasons and how that, could have changed if it was someone else. So like Boston Rob is the merge boot, but what if he was the first juror? And so we're talking about how the first jurors shape their seasons. So that's a new series coming up for the summer. So, and of course I'll be with you doing some more 50 and 50.
Yeah. Jared, thank you again. I know I asked you 3-4 weeks ago at this point, but thank you so much for hopping on for these seasons. I really appreciated it. Thank you to everyone that has been whatever tuning in. We will be back tomorrow, hopefully earlier tomorrow. I'm gonna just try to knock out as much as All Stars as possible tonight. I've got the vodka ready. So we're gonna get through All Stars together. Thank you all, and we will see you on the other side.